with that, we are on Integrated OKC. I'm your host, Wesley Luster, and I'm here with Maria Guillermo.
Yes. Hello, I'm Maria. Or let me say it in Spanish so I can say it properly. Maria Guillermo. Maria Estrella is how you say it in English. Mm-hmm. I believe so. I don't think I say it that often.
They can just say it the right way.
Yeah. Guillermo. Yes, that is me. I am a photographer. Have been doing it for 4 years. I'm happy to be here with you, Wesley. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we just had like a good 4 hours of just shooting your inspiration photos. I had an amazing time. This is actually very unique because I don't usually get to work with the artist. This is only maybe my fifth now actually.
Oh, wow.
I don't have the third or fourth ones edited yet, but
okay.
This one being the fifth one, I have yet to work with the artist the same day of the cast. So it's really amazing to see your process as already knowing you wanted this photo taken of Gordon Parks, his muralist, and he was a civil journalist, right?
Yeah, he was a civil rights journalist. He was also an editorial photographer, one of the first people to get on Vogue, especially being Black. So he's just an inspiration because he's one of the first people that started taking editorial photography outdoors. And he started to change the industry, making it more abstract and more creative. And people trusted his vision at that time, which was probably a hard thing to be able to do. So that he's incredible.
Yeah, especially coming from the Black perspective, Black family. Like I'm saying, we were talking about what he probably was thinking, what was going through his mind as he was taking those photos, and just being getting all this notoriety, but also knowing that you're not safe as soon as you walk out the door. You know, so it's kind of like this. It's a duality, double-edged sword of, yeah, we're in the spotlight, and you like my stuff now, global minority, but you don't, don't respect my life once I walk out. So it was very pensive, the shot that he take and everything that he's done. But what kind of photography do you guys do mainly?
Well, I mainly do weddings, elopements. I want to say that mostly storytell because there is a story behind weddings. I motivated by the energy of love, staying within that kind of energy and trying to live through that. So when I document weddings and elopements, and I know that from the perspective of my clients, it's a day where they're doing a schedule. It's a day where they want to enjoy it with their friends and families. It's a day of celebrating their love. From my perspective, yes, I am there to capture all that. But I'm also in awe of the emotions that go into it, and in awe of the anxious anticipation of the event, and awe of when people choose to do things non-traditionally. I had a couple who created their own last name, and I thought that was amazing.
They created their own last name?
Yeah, Medea.
Wow.
Yeah, because they're so into Renaissance, and they had a Renaissance wedding, and they had an improv. So it was incredible. And I love to see people take a journey that feels just very authentic to them. So I do mostly focus on weddings. But with that, staying in the energy of love within businesses like yourself or other small businesses growing, their heart is in what they do because I feel like it's an extension of them.
Yeah. I've seen some of your product design photos that you've taken, and they look amazing. Just on your Instagram.
Thank you.
RadLove Creative Media, right?
Yes.
Is that it?
Yes, RadLove.creative or RadLove.media. That's the official one, and then the creative is my photography. So the media is where we have the photography and videography that I do with my partner, that I share 50-50 the company, and then the creative is just my side passion that has nothing to do with videography, but still is part of the organic essence of the company.
Right.
Yeah.
And so you've been out here in Oklahoma for how many years now?
Since I was 2 years old, I became a citizen. I want to say 4 or 5 years ago. Time is a blur.
Oh wow.
Time isn't relevant.
Right. It really isn't, especially like it's been going so much faster here recently. And the more you do, the more stuff you have to do.
Yeah.
Just the more time just flies by.
Yeah. I want to say maybe 5 years since I've been doing photography for like 3 or 4. So probably like a year before photography became a citizen, or a year and a half before.
So. Wow, congratulations.
Yeah.
And then, but so you've been out here in Oklahoma since 2. How have you liked it so far growing up here and like just doing your due and like as a creative moving around? What's it like here?
Well, I grew up in the south of OKC, the south side. So I also had, let's see here, a troubling childhood. So most of my memory of my childhood is pretty blank to protect my nervous system from like being anxious all the time.
100% understand.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So growing up in Oklahoma, I can't say that it's been a wonderful experience just because of my own personal experience, but also just getting myself connected as I started to kind of create a world for myself outside of that, and started getting connected with the communities here like Queer Joy or Blackbird Brand or Hear Yourself as well. Just getting connected within the communities that we have here. I've noticed that there's so much connection. There's so much warmness. People have been so ready to just kind of provide me that sense of community that I lack outside of it, because I'm not connected to my own personal family besides the 2 kids and partner that I have.
Right.
So for a long time, I felt very alone, and it wasn't until I just started putting myself out there as a photographer and then started meeting all these amazing people that I started to feel kind of safe to just let people in.
Right. I mean, that's huge. And thank you for sharing, like, thank you for being open, honest about all this stuff. I mean, you don't have to talk about anything you don't want to, just let you know that. We throw it out there ahead of schedule.
I mean, some people can relate to it. Some people can just be like, okay, cool. But I feel like the more honest that I am, the more organic the way that I take photos and the way that I relate to people is.
It's like it's changed every time you kind of take that next step.
Yeah.
Into vulnerability is what you're saying.
Yeah.
I mean, you got yourself out there. You're saying you found a community and like you're enjoying the people. Like as you age, like finding the people who accept you as family and accept you and who you are and support you, care for you and stuff like that. And you found that out here.
Yeah, I did. Awesome. I did find that in Oklahoma. So, despite how maybe we don't have all this beautiful scenery that we love, because I love being in the mountains and stuff like that, like Oklahoma has a big part of my heart because it's constantly growing. The arts district is just filled with so many amazing people, and I'm excited to continue to be a part of it and help it grow and watch yourself grow, and there's just so much growth here. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, I feel the same way. There's so much to be seen in the individuals and the people. There are so many amazing people and so many just down to earth, like amazing people that look. I'd love to have them here and get their stories out. Like just like I would love to hear your story and just seeing how you work. Just taking those few hours we did today. We were dedicated. We're like, we're taking these shots right now.
Yeah.
And we're going to keep going until we find it, So getting connected with people of that like-minded.
Yes, that like-minded,
Keep in that direction of growth, So not only will we be inspired and blown away by what other people are doing, it'll inspire us to reach out and take that next step and take that next journey, into vulnerability.
Yes. And that was beautifully said. And,
thank you.
that is that's something that I keep in mind with photography. Like I keep in mind that when people are in front of my camera, they're being vulnerable. During wedding day, whenever they are allowing me to go in and capture their day, they're incredibly vulnerable because they're letting me into their inner world, into their inner life with their families. Like that's a whole other level.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I try to become friends with everybody, or get acquainted and get to know their world before the day of. So that's vulnerability. you allowing me to kind of guide you through the way that we're going to take photos, that takes vulnerability, I feel like. And just a lot of what I do, even with product photography, it takes vulnerability from the artist to trust me to have my own vision and handle just creative. Yeah, for real, because that's sure. Like your baby.
Right, exactly. I'm sure people are like, oh, don't do that. They're like, oh, CD, like, don't hold it. Actually, put it on this side.
Yeah, so I think vulnerability is, as a human characteristic, is just such a beautiful thing and such a fragile thing.
Right.
Yeah.
100%. So, been doing photography for about 4 or 5 years. Been out here since you're 2. Like, you know, building your community, getting safe, setting back into your family community, you know. So, loving that. How has your business grown? I know you guys just changed your brand a little bit. It was something else before, and now it's RadLove.
Yeah, so we had Journal of Maria and Ken, and where that came from is because we wanted to really be storytellers. Mm-hmm. We wanted to make people feel like we really are seeing them and journaling them. And then we were just so like unfortunate enough to get on this trying to remember the name, OKC Rescue. It is a program that helps people of color and people who have been affected by COVID to get grants to help boost their companies.
Oh, wow.
Especially small business companies. So through them, we applied, and through them, we were able to get in touch with a marketer, branding, and a website designer. So that team helped us revision, because the name that we previously had is kind of long for people to remember. 100%. So they were like, you know, something's memorable, and something that people can just quickly say and write and just like be able to envision quickly. It's going to be good to help us get further. So when we were brainstorming RadLove, I thought about all the stories that inspires me, like the couple who changed their name. I just find it very rad whenever people just do what they feel like they want to do that feels really good to them. So just working with these very, very rad individuals, I was like, I keep saying the word rad, but
that's part of the name. I mean,
exactly.
Like, see where they came from, and then hearing you talk about how much you do focus on the love, like even earlier when you're like, oh yeah, there's something you kept going back to as like a topic when you were talking about your photography. So RadLove, I can see like it just ring. If they just had a conversation with you guys, I could see where that would come out.
Yeah, so they helped us find that name, and then the colors that our team picked, the green, red, black, and purple, they all are very significant to me. I don't know if the person that was picking them out kind of, cause she's a professional, she's incredible. Nuevo Studios. They're incredibly professional, and they totally brought such a professional vision to this. And then the colors, what they represent to me, the black is kind of like protection, energy. The red is like passionate and what you would associate love with. The purple is intuitive. The green is grounding. And the white is just kind of pure. So those branding colors really means, it's very significant to me.
Right.
So the way that everything tied together was just, it's very beautiful, better than I could have ever imagined with the rebranding.
You must have had a really good graphic designer, because I'll tell you, trying to mix in a ton of colors into one logo, one print, like logo type or logo set, it's not easy. So so they definitely like the color harmony. If like the color harmonies all work well together in the logo and stuff. Okay.
Yeah. Well, she gave us varieties. Like she gave us different varieties of how to utilize them, and gave us like a guide on how to use it. So there's different ways to use it, and only like 3 colors once. You probably know more than I do about
Hey,
this.
it's okay. Yeah, I'm hearing you. I'm hearing their professionality through the conversation. So I mean, this is kind of cool.
So professional, but it's like the way it all came together was better than I could have ever imagined.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. I'll have to get in contact with them because I made my logo and it's all right. It's a good start. It's super chill.
Yeah.
I'll have somebody help me upgrade.
They're great. They're very kick-ass. That's their brand.
Kick-ass?
Yeah.
Okay. So
Just
all
kick-ass.
right. Kick-ass. We're coming. I'm coming. Or I'll just have you on the seat. Whatever. So you guys have been doing a lot of wedding elopement and stuff, and hopefully I'm going to be able to hire you to do the event with Deborah and Maria, like some other 2 artists that I'm doing art event with. Because you want to go, what like, where do you want to take it? Like right now you're doing a lot of weddings, and that's helping you guys out financially and like getting you guys set up. But as far as the creative side, what kind of inspires you more than churning through some weddings and getting your name out there that way?
Okay, yeah, that's a good question. So
I'm full of them.
So weddings do provide me some creativity. They give me structure.
Okay, cool.
Which is great. They do provide me creativity. I think the elopement side of it, like having an Airbnb and creating this memorable experience, because I've done that at a Broken Bow where this couple just rented out a cabin and had all of their friends there, and just it was more journalism photos, and it allowed me to kind of flow in my own creativity. Mm-hmm. And that I find so inspiring, and I take that energy that I had there and try to apply it in other areas. So, and those big fancy beautiful weddings as well, and outside of weddings, because I do like to just stay passionate with my photography. So it was very therapeutic whenever I would just drive out in the middle of the night, not necessarily the night, but like close to sunset, and take photos of the beautiful sunset that you witness, and just really get in tune with how grateful I am to be here and how grateful I am to be able to capture this image. And so seeing it in displayed as artwork at different events as a vendor would be like the next step for me, to just continue to follow that creative flow of this is what motivates me and inspires me, as well as the other things that I do.
I mean, it's really nice whenever you have like a camera, you get that perfect sunset, you get that perfect angle, or you're like, just find this random bug on a flower or something. Like that's me when I have a camera. Like,
yeah.
Usually sunsets, random little, plants or some angle or something, like looking up above the trees.
Yeah.
Or like getting people candid,
Yeah, and for someone like myself who has a hard time remembering my like childhood, moments like that where I hone in with the camera and like take the time to look at every details and really take it all in.
Right.
It helps. It helps so much to just be more present and just more grounded. So I have to thank photography a lot for that, for just helping me be more of a person in a way. I don't know if that's accurate, but just kind of more present.
If it's accurate to you, then it makes sense. If it makes sense to you, then it should make sense to a lot of people. That's a rule I have on here.
Yeah, more present. Yeah.
Yeah, that seemed to help you be more present. Like just the sound, like you're looking, you kind of zoned in. Like you hear the click, and it's like that moment right there. You're waiting. Like earlier today, you were waiting, and I could tell you were like scanning, and you were just kind of waiting to pounce almost. And you have to be present to do that.
Yeah, you do.
You have to be present to be like, okay, the eyes like that, and go for that shot right there.
Yeah,
so, that's cool. You're a great photographer.
Thank
looking at the photos, so fire.
Thank you. I'm excited
so fire.
I'm excited to edit those.
Yeah,
Very
me
excited.
too. I mean, like, I'm fighting the urge to ask you when they're gonna be done. And we just took them, So, like, so that's awesome. That's awesome. Doing it for like 5 years, and you like to really capture the love. That's why you're doing weddings, elopements, and the product design, capturing love for the business. So if people need, photographer for your product design, might want to hit her up. Do you have any parts of your story that I think is just kind of relevant to your photography and why you chose to do that and not like screen printing or something?
It's a good one. Let's see here. Why I chose to do photography. Well, I kind of gave you a little bit of background where I came to the United States at 2. So I guess being an immigrant for so long and being told that there's a lot of limitations in my future never really allowed me to see very past maybe 18. So once things started shifting for me, it was hard to get motivated. It was hard to feel like I could do something.
Of course, because you had all these limiting beliefs, like telling you that you have limitations on your life. I mean, literally, like limitations on your life, and you're just like, oh well, thinking you were gonna be here too long or something. Like that was that how you felt? So you only had so much time or something.
Yeah, and then that, and like on top of like other childhood traumas, it's just like there was just a lot of voices in my head that said, you're not gonna get far, or you're not gonna be able to do things, or you're not gonna amount to much, basically. So all of that just kind of, it really took a toll on my mental health. And
obviously, that would,
Yeah.
obviously that would. It's like, okay, yeah, I like to move in spaces and be mobile and do things. But when you have those limiting beliefs, it's kind of like, makes you feel caged, it makes you feel really caged for, I mean, I understand.
Yeah.
That's the same, not necessarily the same things, but definitely the same type of limiting beliefs of, can I really do this? Like, is this something I can, doesn't matter how talented the other people see or what they see, when you have the change on yourself. I've been working really hard to take the chains off, so like I totally understand. So for you, you're getting those. When did it shift for you? When it started maybe see the cracks or seeing some light through the bars?
Well, I became a mom young, early on. So that kind of shaped how I came into photography. My partner noticed that, I was in a very dark mental state despite having 2 kiddos, because I feel like when you have kids, the bad of the world enhances. Like, you see it even more because you're like, oh, I don't want you to suffer, or I don't want that to touch you, like those bad things in the world. So on top of what I've already experienced, and then that having kids, and like acknowledging like that I would like things to be different for them. So he noticed that my mental health was just kind of like not the best, and he decided to give me a camera. We just assumed, okay, we'll just do family photos, we'll travel more, we'll just take cute little photos. And as soon as I got the camera, I don't know, something just changed. It gave me a breath of life. I think that's the best way I can express it. Wow. Like, it gave me like such a breath of life. Wow. Where I felt like I have the power with this camera to change things, to shift the world and look at it differently, to showcase to my kids, like, there's so much heart out there. There is so much community out there. There's so much acceptance out there. So and to just to show myself that, honestly, that I don't have to be a certain way, that I can allow myself to take up space. That was the biggest one for me.
So you don't have to shrink back.
Yeah, that was the biggest thing. When I got that camera, I finally felt like I don't have to make myself small.
You could be like as big as the studio lights, as big as the space you're in. You can do all that, right?
Yeah.
So was it just like the first shot, or was it took you a while to get into it? Like, so tell me about that trajectory.
I guess it kind of took a while, because it takes a while to kind of figure out where you want to go with photography, because like there's so many avenues in photography. Like you can do so much, just so many different but
like what?
So there's like family photography, props, focusing on senior life events, stuff like that, which is fine. It's needed. But I got very inspired by like editorial photographers that focus on viewing the world in an artistic way. So I'm very much inspired by other artists and how I can like interpret that within my own photography. So I think just kind of allowing myself to dream that big is what how my path went into.
So it was like you taking out those limiting beliefs. For you to dream big, you had to release the limiting beliefs.
Yeah.
Because you can't do both. Like you can't hold both of those cakes. Like you have to throw one out.
Yeah, exactly. Because like I looked around me and I saw all these avenues of the way of to do photography, which is great. But I wanted more. I wanted to dream bigger. I wanted to be an artist with it. So I'm still working on that. I'm constantly just trying to hone in on how to make it more cinematic, how to make it more artsy, how to make it more creative, how to be different, how to make it something worthwhile, something worth looking at. That is my main goal. Like, how do I make it worth your time to look at?
So what are those things what makes a picture worth time in your perspective of Maria Guillermo?
I would say the essence of the photo, the how it makes you feel. I think because that's the whole thing about us being humans. That as much as we try to fight it, as much as we don't want to, we're all about feelings.
Right.
We're all about wanting to feel connected.
100%.
We can't survive without connection, even if we try to feel very empowered alone all the time, which I used to and still do. It is important, but at the end of the day, we need some sort of connection.
Absolutely.
And I guess the way that the photo would be worthwhile is if you feel connected to it.
Right, 100%.
And I just had my own revelation on here.
You're like, yeah, you have to feel connected to it. So like some of the most connected photos that you feel like you've had, you know, what are those things? Is you're like, oh man, what was it about that photo that just struck you? Because now we're getting to some fun abstract topics.
Well, I feel like the photo that you and I did earlier of the inspiration of Gordon Park, and how you were just as committed to like feel the feelings and embody what we were trying to capture. That made me feel very connected, because we were sharing this this moment of humanity, I feel like.
Yeah. Because we were definitely pondering on like, it was very empathetic first off to be like, well, who's this black man? And what was the year? 60s? Something like around there? Because civil rights journalist, photographer, Gordon Parks, just trying to put ourselves in that space of like, okay, you know, there's these racial tensions that are rising around this time, and not that they were never less tense or anything, but you know, there's rising tensions because we're fighting for our sovereignty. We're fighting for our independence, just to live, fighting for just to be safe, walking down the street, not catch a knee in the back of the neck, or just for having a cigarette or someone thinking something, and that results in loss of life of Black men, women, all kinds of people. And so putting ourselves in that space, never talk to them, but we're just speculating, like, what were you going through on this day? You know, as we're looking at your face in this photo, I'm sure you're getting coached, I'm sure you're getting modeled, but still, that's what I was thinking personally. I don't know what you were, if you were vibing with me on that, you know, or not, but just trying to look at what's underneath of course we're putting on this face for the camera, but there's something underneath that too, like the layers of it all.
Putting ourselves in somehow trying to putting ourselves in somebody else's shoes. And I think that that's important for all of us to aspire to, just to create more welcoming and safer environment. And I think that allowing ourselves to try to feel the emotions and try to capture it, I hope that's more good to the world.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, you were able to create a community for yourself and fall back into that. So clearly that's something that's a continuing topic for you to keep coming up and coming back to, like, you know, something you're creating with your camera, creating with your photography when you do elopements and weddings, and you're capturing that sense of warmth and that sense of community, and kind of giving that back to your younger self and giving that back to your inner child, like young Maria, who needed that community and warmth, and like now you have that, and like, you know, continuing to grow that. It's super beautiful. I love to see that, and you know, see that that growth and forward movement for you. So yes. Yeah, that's what we love to see, you know. But yeah, definitely, like in that moment we had that humanity, and that's what you're trying to capture. Would you agree?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just picking this out from what you've been saying so far.
Absolutely. The humanity of it all. I believe so, yeah. And the connection of it all, and the rawness of it all.
Yeah,
maybe.
So good thing your partner got you that camera, right?
Right, yeah.
Shout out to Maria's partner.
Yes, he's very sweet. He's definitely my rock.
Yeah, I love that. So is there anything that you would like to see change after you've kind of been here? You've been kind of making do you feel like as if you're making your impact in the photography space? Or are you just carving a little spot for yourself and being happy and content with that? Like, how do you proceed?
Yeah, I love that question. So I would love to continue in my photography space and creating more of a community. I want to bring more photographers that are like-minded together and just allow us all to kind of like lean on each other and support each other, and feel like we don't have to do it on our own, especially because a lot of learning goes into it, and if we rely on each other, it'll cut back some of those learning curves. So I do strongly want to create that space for other photographers and artists to just get together and feel that sense of community and be able to openly talk about what they might be struggling with and what they need help with, and just show up for each other.
A little purple banana action.
Yeah.
Let's go. The people who understand what that means. Safe space, basically. Like, I love it. I could kind of hear you kind of going towards that earlier.
Yeah.
So at some point in the conversation of just how many times you're bringing up community, and I wanted to suggest or be like, I could see you totally creating a space or getting a studio or what have you, and just, you know, creating like that monthly, weekly, you know, bi-weekly, whatever photography group. And what would that community look like for you?
That's a good question. Well, I want to bring in more, you know, women and people of color together, as well as just like anyone like-minded. Just doesn't have to just be women, non-binary, males. Like, I just like-minded, honestly. Like, and when I say like-minded, I mean who want to see art, who want to see themselves as artists, who want to just allow themselves to just explore their creativity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's basically what I want to see. I want to just be able to explore together and stay curious together. So I guess a community of curiosity.
There you go. Community of curiosity. I like that.
Yeah.
That's kind of got a ring to it. Community of creativity. Yes. That means something similar like I want to create with this podcast. Yeah. Just getting the network together and all of us sharing our followings or people who like really care about you, be able to see your episode, but might be able to link up with somebody else that they didn't even know existed. And then likewise, someone who you don't know who's an artist doing creative stuff could hop on and per chance see your episode and, kind of this giving back, this altruism, helping each other out. We may not even know each other or not, but like, I just think that's so cool, setting up the win-win-win situations. And that'd be great. I'll come take a couple photos. Come take a couple shots of community of creativity. Absolutely. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Do some live painting with you guys.
That'd be amazing.
I actually had a friend. We called her Ruby. Her and some other people. This was up in Mendocino County in California. It's about 3 hours north of San Francisco. And you have to take Highway 1, which is the highway that runs right along the ocean side, all the way up down the left side, the Californian coast. They had created this community center called Woven Light, and this is 5 or 6 women that were. Some of them were farmers at this place called Oz Farm, and some of them were just community members, community leaders. And they created the space just to like have a community. Maybe people do yoga and have like random creative art nights. So like one of Ruby's amazing. Oh, it was super cool. And one of Ruby's contributions was, I forget what she called it, but it was just basically like a spastic night. Like I brought my guitar. It was just like art. She was dancing. There was other people who were painting, and it literally just like dedicated time for you to just be creative. So you bring your paints, there's an easel, you could use it. Like I said, I just brought my guitar and I was just watching everybody do what they do while I just did what I did and played guitar. And then Ruby just like danced around while we were all just doing our do. So super cool, just open-ended, unstructured creative time, which I think people definitely need, along with structure, but also like healthy and positive non-structure.
Yeah. Bring some joy into it. Yeah. That sounds beautiful. That sounds like the best type of community.
Oh, it's cool. I mean, people need to get out their houses a little bit more. So, you're always going to run up against people who don't want to, get out of their comfort zone. I barely leave my house. I'll tell you that. I barely leave my room, especially with my art studio and stuff I have going on there. Yeah. It's a struggle. Ask my friends to get me out of my house. But, I always love it when I do.
Yeah. Because you spend hours just looking at a canvas, trying to figure out what you're going to paint. So I can understand why you spend hours at your house.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just like, what is this going to be? How do I want to do it?
Yeah, isn't that just part of the process of like being at home, part of the process? And then, whenever it feels aligned, you go out and you probably feel more inspired.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, just like that. The chalice you rung, I love the idea of having people ring that, and it just reminds me of the time that I had at Burning Man with my Burning Man community. And to have a new artist flick it or ding it or ring it,
Oh, that's such a beautiful ceremony to just kind of like connecting everybody through it.
Wow. Yeah, exactly. So everyone's like pouring their energy in that cup, and and it's just super cool. It helps me remind myself of the serendipity that I experienced. Nice little ritual to start and tie up the podcast.
That's awesome. That's beautiful. You want to ding it?
No, not right now. I don't think we're done yet. We're still vibing out. Gotcha. we talked about a good amount of things, right? Just like your kind of a little bit of your backstory and how you got into photography, what you love about it, how you guys you can actually run your business. So I mean, we talked about a good amount of stuff. What we were getting into, one of my favorite things is, I know I have things that I would like to change about Oklahoma, or would like to see change about Oklahoma as an artist, also as a musician, and I see those things happening. But it's still very interesting for me to just ask every artist or whoever hops on, what do you want to see change about Oklahoma, or what do you experience, whether it's an artistic thing, if you're a musician and you're like, I wish the crowds got more hype, there wasn't so much delay in badass thing happening, and then the crowd's just like doing nothing,
okay.
Or not participating.
Yeah.
But that's the musician's perspective. So as your, or an artist's perspective, but from your perspective.
Something I'd like to see change in Oklahoma. That's a hard one.
It's another opportunity. You think big, have an impact, take up space.
Yeah, taking up space. I guess just kind
having
of
the audacity to tell Oklahoma to change something. Do it.
Yeah, I'm just very much a hopeful person. I'm just like, we're getting there. Of course, there's probably still plenty of things. I mean, there is still plenty of things to change, but from a photographer perspective, that's a good one, because I try to embody the example, or I tried my best to kind of like lead with encouraging the change. So often what I do think about changing, I think about, when people get married, it's usually Mr. and then Mr. That doesn't change for, but when a woman gets married, it's Miss and then Mrs.
Right.
And that's kind of awkward to me. Like, why does that have to? It almost feels like the person is owned by the Mr. because it's Miss and then Mrs. And the reason why it's Miss and then Mrs. is because, like, as soon as you get married, you now have the title Miss, if I'm saying that right. So I think just within the wedding industry, and not just in Oklahoma, but like everywhere, just kind of like seeing that change of gender roles, just kind of like continuing to get demolished. Is that the right word?
Demolished. Yeah.
Demolished.
Yeah,
or just continuing to just change. Because like at the end of the day, I'm not, there's so much that could be said about all that. But at the end of the day, whenever you go into the ceremony or into this unity, you're going into it, for most cases, as equals, as your own person that is coming together and helping each other see the best version in themselves. So just kind of honoring that, instead of just putting like certain roles or certain labels. Just honoring the fact that we're all here to experience love, and to experience ourselves and our fulfillments and our joys, and acknowledging like the partners and the community is a part of supporting that.
I mean, because you get to see so many different iterations of wedding and love, elopement, different ways that people are doing it, where they do it in private or where they have a big celebration or what have you. I mean, to speak on that, the Mr. the Mrs. I wonder, like, because everybody's different, like there's the institution, its history, and then the individuals that come to the institution and their history and how they decide they're going to do things. So like the people you said, it's really cool. They made up their own last name. So they both came from something different, tertiary. And then, when they came from different things, and then they came together and made it like a tertiary, this is our name now.
Exactly.
Type of thing. So, I don't think there's a shortage of people changing the institution or doing what they and molding it and melding it however they want to, as many as there are people who are rigid about how they go about with the institution of marriage or something, you know, I don't know if I want to get married, if that's something I even want to do, you know, and you know, I'm like cis hetero, same thing, like, you know, males, you know, I'm pretty basic, but like I'm still exploring different ways of living and loving and understanding. So it's cool to see that it's also happening out there. I wonder if the Mrs. and Mrs. thing, I mean, how you perceive it changes. What do you think? And how you mold it changes, right?
Reword that for me.
Like as you're saying, like it has a certain connotation, right?
Yeah.
And you want to see it change.
I don't even exactly know how I want to see it change. I guess the stigma behind it. Because so another part of why I got into like photography, or what motivated me into wanting to see people do things their way. Because whenever I had my kid young, his parents were his dad is a pastor, very Christian. So it's very frowned upon that we were having a kid without being married. So instead of taking the marriage or as a ritual of union and commitment, it was more of like the church can't look bad.
It was like shotgun wedding. It was like, okay, we have to do this. Like we don't have a choice, type of thing.
Yeah, and like just going through that experience of like just automatically being told to take that last name, which I didn't mind because I was not connected to my family, but like not being presented an alternative option where like, why don't you just create your own last name? Right. And I think that has to do with like non-hetero weddings, that they're showing us those options, right? Because like, you know, the brides that came up with Medea, they're a lesbian couple, so they came up with their own last name, right? Because they don't fall under that hetero structure that weddings are, right? So they don't basically created by
right. They don't have the same stigma. They're able to kind of mold it and mess with it and do what they want with it, kind of more readily than hetero. Like also religious, because that's another layer. Like hetero is one thing, but then you could switch it between different religions or people who are agnostic. You know what I mean? So then those people are all kind of tossing it up and doing what they will.
Yeah, there's so many walks of life within like, so whenever I went through it and then I became a miss, and then people would refer to me as, when there would send me invitations for weddings, Miss Maria Guillermo. And that felt icky. That felt wrong.
Right,
that was
you don't
like,
have your own name.
I'm like, what? I'm just that person. Right. Like, just because of the religious, like, oh, you're one person now, and the man is the one person now in the heteronormative reality. So I'm like, oh, you never considered that I might be bi, or you never considered that maybe I might be gender fluid? Like, you're just gonna assume that? Okay, cool. So yeah, just little things like that, and you know, it might not be an icky thing to everybody. It might be wonderful to some people, and that's great. But just to be able to have that space where like, this is also an option, or you can do this way. Like, it doesn't have to be one way.
Right, exactly. And you can be the progenitor of that change, or be the suggester, or, you know, have the impact. Like Gandhi said, be the change you want to see in the world.
Exactly.
You can just do that thing. Or,
yeah. Yeah, that's what I hope to really. I feel like that's what my brand, what my vision for the entire thing is. It's like, just, you know, let's create our own world, our own safe space, and just allow ourselves to just. We're here such a short, limited time, so like, allow ourselves to be curious and have that space to be curious. So
100%. Yeah. I mean, again, some people don't, like, maybe before you said you had the limiting beliefs that made you feel more stuck, or like you couldn't move or have that pliability with your life. And I've experienced that. I'm just like, started going to therapy like a few months ago. So definitely getting to talk about some of the things that happened or what have you, and just being able to release some of those limiting beliefs and being able to take the strides and be like, okay, maybe I can take accountability here, or I can, change this here. Now that I'm kind of seeing myself, I've always been pretty self-aware, very sensitive to things going on around me, other people's body language, blah, blah, blah. But now understanding more as I'm changing myself and understanding how I'm able to shift my own beliefs and mold myself as an individual, mold my personality. It's helping me be a better leader, like with my crew or my full-time job right now in sales and having my office, and the people that are in my office right now, how maybe they might be falling short on their own goals, or like having some limiting beliefs in their own life, and then having shifted and molded myself, maybe can help move some pieces around and help push them or encourage them and help them see a bigger playing field than where they were maybe previously viewing, and being like, oh yeah, because before I was like, I don't know that I have the ability to make that impact. Maybe I should just stay in my own square, kind of like, and not take up that space or what have you. So, I think a lot of people deal with that, even no matter really, really what part of mental space you come from. Like, like, oh, I didn't think I was allowed to make those changes, but now I kind of see myself as taking bigger steps and taking more of the liberty, and then having those same people thank me and being like, thank you for pushing me or checking in on me that day, and being like, I love that. So, I mean, you get to take the step yourself and be like, hey, you see that? I just took that step. You can do that too. See, I'm going to take another step.
Yeah.
Oh, it's scary.
Absolutely.
It's in the unknown direction. Uh-oh. Scary. So it's cool to see. It's cool to see you taking those steps as a photographer, as a partner, as a individual in the photography scene. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, it's kind of surreal, honestly, because I'm just like, I don't think I realize what I'm doing, because I'm just like, this is just part of my daily schedule. But then to like bring myself back to where I might have been a couple years ago, where none of this was possible, like to be connected to these individuals that have motivated me and have inspired me to like go ahead and take those steps. That is like, that's such a huge shift. That's such a huge shift, and it makes me think about the kids that I'm currently teaching photography to. It's a middle school in the south side of OKC, which is the area I grew up in.
Right.
And you
get to have an impact on your community.
Yeah, I get to give back to the community. I get to and they're middle schoolers, and most average middle schoolers don't want to really listen, so I have to like creatively find ways to inspire them,
right,
and get them into becoming their own leaders. And like me trying to think about how I felt at that time and growing up in that area, and just kind of like, this is what I wish somebody would have told me or showed me. Because in middle school I was dancing. In middle school I had that creative out from whatever was going on in school. I mean, not school, at the house. Well, also in school, because I always had a hard time being able to pay attention in school.
Right.
So like all of the testing and stuff was incredibly hard, and then home was hard. So dance was that creative outlet that was like, I could finally breathe.
What did you dance?
Just whatever they taught there. They taught just like different sort of dances. So I was just like, okay, yes, I have this creative energy to just allow myself to just be a kid.
Or you get to play around with.
Yeah, I think that the thing is that kids are more in tune with playing. And that's such a natural part for us as humans to play. And that's why I think a lot of creatives follow the creativity, because we're constantly playing.
100%.
Yeah,
you learn a whole lot more when we're playing. Absolutely.
Yeah,
like
you
children,
do. Yeah,
like animals just learn. Their brain is so much more active when you're playing around with that, like,
exactly. So
beginner's mind, child mindset.
yeah, so I'm trying to encourage that within these middle schoolers, to hoping that when we're doing the photography class, that this space is encouraging them to play and to follow just whatever light they see in it.
Right. And then that way, like, they are actually in tune with you. They're like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, cool. No, I see what you're talking about. This ain't some boring ass shit that we're doing right now. This ain't some bullshit, Miss Guillermo. Like,
yeah. I mean, a lot of the times they're on their phones and they're listening, even if I don't think they're listening. They're listening. They just rather be on their phones. So it's just, that's all right.
Right. It's like, hey, I mean, plus you can only lead a horse to water. You can't make it drink, So if you wanted to, there's someone in that classroom who needs what you're saying.
Yeah.
And there's someone in that classroom who has no interest in what you're saying whatsoever.
Yeah.
And will never maybe they will, like, one little bit. Like, one sentence you said is going to land, and then there's some kid in there who's hanging on your every word.
Mm-hmm.
So I noticed that. I substitute taught for like 3 years. I've been a camp counselor at a music camp for like 10 years, and I was a gymnastics coach for a while before. Like, every time I was in gymnastics, every time I hurt myself, I'd teach or coach, which was a fair amount. So that's what I noticed a lot with the young people,
Yeah. Well, it also depends on where their headspace might be at, and they don't mean to not pay attention, or, but you're still planting that seed in them. Mm-hmm. Like, even if they're not showing us that they're paying attention or care or want to interact in any way, like, that seed is still planted. Like, if they get to a point where they feel like, oh, what else can I do? Photography, I once learned that. Let me explore that again.
Right,
like,
right. That's true.
We never know where that could possibly lead them.
What they're going to do with that. 100%.
Like, I may not see the fruit of my labor now with some of them, but I think long term, to even be able to plant that tiny little seed, might help.
It's got to be insanely rewarding for sure.
Yeah.
Actually, I still have young people that that I've taught, and I just I could see a light in them, or a creativity in them. It's like they're this kid's gonna do something. I could feel that. There's a kid named Aiden Lowe. I ain't gonna say his last name, but there's probably a billion Aidens out there. But this Aiden knows what I'm talking about. But yeah, he played video games a lot, and he was really good in school. He was a good kid. And I think here recently, he added me on Facebook. So it's like years after him being in like 9th grade. So I'm sure he's out of school now. But he posted a stream or a video or a picture of one of his songs that he released on Spotify that has like 100,000+ streams right now. And like people were trying to pick on that kid, and it's like, dude, there's so much light. But he had a good attitude. He never let anything tear him down. But it's so rewarding for me to see these people, the young people now, like what they're doing, having been there, and like have that excitement. They're like had such a good relationship with you as a teacher. They looked up to you most likely, and they like, this kid definitely looked up to me and like was really excited every time I saw him. So I know that how encouraging him just helped him go into himself a little bit more, for him to find those things that then is launching him now. Wow. So that feels really good.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, I don't need that kid to say my name ever, or like bring that back. It just says, dude, keep going, keep doing your thing. And like I put it on one of my playlists. I was like, hey bro, I put this on my playlist, so just so you know.
That's amazing. It must feel so good to just feel like, wow, that you're doing the thing, you're allowing yourself to dream big, and you're just following that, and just to be able to witness their growth, it's just like, it's phenomenal.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. It makes me feel better too. Like I feel less limited. Yeah. Okay, like we were in the same room.
Yeah.
And some stuff I can tell other kids too. I was in the same room with these people, or like people who are now like playing on stages with like Kendrick Lamar and Billie Eilish and shit like. So I'm just like, just whatever you want to do, you can do it. You know, you as well. Like we're talking about the kids, but this also, as fractals go and layers go, also applies to us in our situation. And people who are yet to show up here, I've yet to talk to, people I've talked to already. You have all that ability.
Yeah, that is such an exciting part of life. Like anything's possible.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And the more that we just kind of flow within it and just follow our passions, the more that we even surprise ourselves.
Right.
Yeah.
Perfect. So with that lovely note, what do you have anything that you want to say to anyone? If you had any advice to give, like, what would be something you wanted to let people know?
It's a good one. Let's see here. Will this be edited out if I take too long to answer?
No, shoot. I mean, it could be. I could edit it out, but also it doesn't matter. If,
dang it.
It takes a while for you to answer. It takes a while for you to answer. I ain't editing that out.
Because I try not to plan too much on what I'm going to say so it can organically come out and just to serve whatever purpose I wanted to serve at that moment, whenever it, so anything I'd like to say or advice within photography,
within anything, really,
or anything,
it don't matter.
I know that we talked about weddings and elopements and
no pressure,
stuff like that.
No pressure at all. This is not famous last words. Knock on. Whatever.
So like at the end of it, I think within like love or outside of love, like it really is all about community, and just give yourself permission to show up to these places, because I gave myself permission to show up to Queer Joy, to this Wednesday group, homeschooling group that I am a part of, and they, at first you kind of feel like, you're not, imposter syndrome. It shows up, and imposter syndrome shows up in a lot of spaces. Whenever I first started doing photography, first started taking photos at weddings, first started doing product photos, or just any sort of photos. But the more that you just continue to show up to these communities, to these events, to these ideas that you may have, or just for other people, you'll figure it out as you go. And just allow yourself to expand. Don't shrink yourself before you even have a minute to see what it's like on the other side. Because things change quite a bit. I never saw myself on a podcast today. I never saw myself doing interviews for a magazine like I recently did for my business. I never saw myself working with phenomenal people within marketing. And that's the beauty of things. Just like, as long as you just allow yourself to show up. Showing up, it does wonders, even if you may not have the energy to. Like, just showing up is the best gift you can give to yourself.
Very beautifully said. I love that. Okay. It's a very heartfelt, warm, very warm podcast we've had today. I suppose the conversation was very filled with like compassion, love, and creativity. I'm glad this is something we get to catch on camera, recording for everybody. I know somebody's gonna get a lot out of this, so I'm really stoked.
I hope so.
Tell us how we can find you, how we can find your business, what you could do for them. Who are they?
Okay, absolutely. So how you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and my website, it's all radlove.media. So RadLove.media. That is a for sure way to find us on all platforms. We do quite a bit of weddings, elopements, work with businesses. We do commercial work. I do photography. My partner does videography. He is phenomenal at just creating magical videos. And I am doing lifestyle documentary at home or with families. And I say lifestyle because I like to just capture those authentic moments. And I'm sure you've heard that plenty of times. But what I mean by that is like...
Is that a photographer special? Like,
yeah, so I'm trying to get away from that language. And what I mean by that is like there's no pressure on like staging. I love to just see your essence and who you are, and wherever you are in life it's beautiful and it deserves to be captured because it's part of your story, it's part of your legacy. And that's the main thing that I do, is documenting your legacy in any form that comes in.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. I think you guys can get a lot of business if you already have a lot of business. So I'm super stoked. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Bless me with the presents and bless me with the photos. I'm gonna open this because you got me some tea and some tea cookies. Look how beautiful this is. Oh, she made this. Hold that up to the iPhone.